Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Jamie. I have a really new video for you all today. I recently had my birthday and I asked for a whole bunch of art journaling supplies, and this is me doing my third art journal layout. I thought it'd be interesting to show you guys, anyone who wants to get into art journaling, and also, you know, the people who do it quite often, the techniques that I use, the supplies that I use, and also to show the progression of someone who's starting out, because I know when you watch videos and you see people who are creating these amazing extravagant art journal pages and you just go, I couldn't do that to begin with. And I think you need to remember, you know, they've all had so much practice, and this is someone who's only ever made 3 art journal pages, so it's not amazing, but I'm using my experience with mixed media and project life and my little minimal experience of painting to put into this art journal spread. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually using some 6x6 scrapbooking paper, and I'm cutting out sort of a skyline of houses because I wanted to do a layout that kind of focused on the concept of home, and there shows you how I've gone from a high point down to a low point. And what I'm doing right now is I'm actually going to create the sky background, and I wanted sort of just a really deep blue but not nighttime sky to contrast with the stenciling that I'm going to do. So here I'm using some Montmartre paint because I'm a budget scrapper and now a budget art journaler, and I'm just going to use that to put it down. Just so you know, I have pre-gessoed this page and dried it before I started. I just wanted to give the page as much strength as it could because I was going to be doing a lot of painting, a lot of matte gel medium, a lot of layers, so I wanted it to give it a little bit more strength. I'm using the Dylusions, I think it's the 6, maybe it's the 5x8, I think it's the 5x8 journal. I'm loving it, it's great, the paper is amazing. I have used a few sketchbooks before, bought them when I was going to try art journaling, and then I bought them and I did painting in it and it just didn't work. So I'm just checking to make sure I have covered the whole area because I didn't want to waste paint and stick down the points of where the paper was going to go. So I just checked to make sure I covered it all. This is my stencils. These are the stencils that I use for scrapbooking, so it's nothing new that I've gone out and bought. The only thing that I bought specifically for art journaling was the book, and I also bought some more matte gel medium because I had ran out. I have dried this. I've just used my hairdryer. I don't have anything that's very expensive. I would love to get a heat tool because I want to try embossing, but a hairdryer works perfect. So if you're new to art journaling and you don't know what supplies to get, you don't need a heat gun, you can use a hairdryer, it's perfectly fine. This is some Montmartre and it's actually called Impasto, but it works as a matte gel medium and because it dries clear, so I use it as a glue, and then I'm just sticking down some paper between the pages so they don't get stuck together. So I'm going to put I'm going to call it the matte gel medium down the bottom, and then I'm going to also put a little bit on the pieces of paper as well, just to make sure that the whole thing is going to stick. So here I am just sticking it down, and then once I'm done that, I'm going to stick it straight down onto the page. I do in this video cut out a few times that I go and dry it because, you know, you don't really need to see me drying it, it's just me holding a hairdryer over the top of it. So this is just a random paintbrush. I don't use this paintbrush for any other painting though, because it does make the bristles go a bit stiffer once you've used matte gel medium. So I'm actually putting a coat over the blue background, which I do kind of regret doing, and I know from now on, because I'm going to do a technique that I saw on Instagram, which was you put the stencil down and use a baby wipe to kind of wipe it off. I've learned now, the impasto doesn't really let that much of the ink come up. As you can see it a little bit, but it's not as out there as I wanted it to be. I was using this kind of to look like the wind, because it's kind of a flowy stencil, but it didn't work as well as I wanted it to, and it actually did pull up a little bit of the paint down there, but that's okay because I'm going to fix it by using a little bit of white paint through that stencil. That is a previous art journal page that I did. If you would like to see art journal pages that are similar to this one, I should have another video soon because I think I like the idea of doing a giant quote with a painty background, more over this style, but as a person who's starting, I'm trying out as many styles as I can see, and this is sort of I'm going to be calling it a scene style, which I do like it, and it was kind of nice to try out, but I do like the whole idea of doing just a big painting background with a quote. This one I kind of wish I'd done a little bit more stenciling in, but I'm going to use a little bit of Dylusions white paint. You could use any white paint, that would work perfectly fine. I have actually found that the cheaper the paint, the better for stenciling, because stenciling for me, I like it to be very minimal. I don't want it to be very detailed, so cheap paint is actually better for that because it's a lot more runny. Whereas if you want really, really detailed ones, I would suggest using a thicker paint, not a runnier paint. And Dylusions, if you're curious, is a very fluid, runny paint, so it's really great for this minimalistic stenciling like I'm doing. If you're curious, I didn't do this stenciling this fast. When I started watching videos about art journaling about a year ago, I thought people were doing it that fast, and then I learned through using stencils in my scrapbooking that that is not how you do it. You do it much, much, much slower. I'm using a white gel pen to outline the houses because I wanted a little bit of contrast, and also to kind of make them stand out a little bit. I've been doing white gel pen a lot on my quotes in this art journal, and I've liked how it looked, so I thought I'd give it a go on this. This is the Uni Ball Signo in Broad. It's very inky, which makes it really good for drawing on top of paint, and also is very, very opaque. It's one of the most opaque white gel pens that I've seen around, so it's really good for art journaling as far as I'm aware. Here in Australia, I just got this from Officeworks, so very easy to get. You know, they ship everywhere in Australia, and I believe they're very common as well in America. So here I am just grabbing out my black paint pen. This is from Big W, it's nothing fancy, and the quote that I found, I actually just typed up, I think I typed up home quote on my phone, and the quote is, a house is made of walls and beams, a home is made of love and dreams, and I decided to use that. This is my script font. My script font, what I do is I actually just write it out in like a cursive font, and then I actually just on every downward stroke make it thicker, which I will show you here, because I found that a lot of people don't actually like to show you how they do their script font, and I don't really mind. Like, it to take me a while to learn and practice my script font, and I still think I have a long way to go, but I don't mind showing you guys how I do it. So as you can see, I'm just looking at wherever I have done the downward stroke with my pen, I'm making thicker, and I go back over this. I'm not using a brush pen, I'm actually just using a bullet nib pen, and that's pretty much it. I do a few drying coats in between because of the fact that I didn't want my hand to touch the paint marker because it would smudge. Here I have dried a lot of it, which you can see it's a little bit more matte. This is a matte pen, and I'm just filling it in now. I wanted the love and dreams to be in my scripty font, and I wanted the rest of the quote to be in just my plain handwriting. I do think I need to work on my handwriting a little bit, but I do like how this turned out. What I'm also going to do is use the white gel pen again, just to add a little more detail on those script font words of love and dream, just down on the downward strokes again to make it really pop. I've done this on every page so far. I think it's going to be a bit of a phase. I think I will stop doing it, but I really like how it's turned out. And I'm also just going to do a tiny little cluster on the right hand side in the middle, just to cover up that really standing out piece of where I ripped up the paper. I'm a big fan of the idea, you know, you can always cover it up. So this was my idea of covering it up. As you can see, I've got black paint on my hand from the paint marker, but I haven't done it anywhere else because I did dry it in between. This is some Tim Holtz Tiny Word stickers. I did get this from my scrapbooking stash. Nothing was bought here that I did not have in my scrapbooking stash. That will not be for everyone though. Like I said, I'm a big mixed media scrapbooker, so I had a lot of things already, but you can start art journaling very, very cheaply. You don't have to buy the fancy materials. I'm a big advocate for, if you want to try it out, but you don't need to buy all the fancy stuff. Try it out first. If you like it, buy fancy stuff. So here is the finished layout. I hope you enjoyed, guys. Bye.